Hello, this is Ricky from Data Mastery. Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we are going to do a live coding session and we are going to build an MCP server using Cursor editor. So the MCP server will have one tool. So we are going to check the weather, the real-time weather at any specific city, like whatever city you're going to pass in the prompt. So we will get the real-time update on the weather. So we're going to use that into our MCP server as a tool, and then we will see how to interact with MCP server using a client. Basically, you can build a Python-based agent as a client, or you can also register your MCP server with something like Claude Desktop, and we will see that how you can use Claude Desktop as a client for our MCP server. Now, this is going to be very interesting, and what we need for this session or for this video. So we need several kind of tools or services, but the good news is that you can use all of them using their free tier. So you don't have to pay anything just to play with these tools. So the first and foremost is the Cursor IDE itself. So Cursor is the fork of VS Code. And if you go to the pricing of like go to cursor.com and then go to pricing, and you can see that they give the free trial of 2 weeks. So this is a pro trial. You get everything that you get in the pro version, but it's free for just 2 weeks. So that is enough for you to just play with this and see how Cursor AI or the Cursor as a tool helps you to build a kind of a better code, and you can build it quickly. So somebody like me, I'm not a full stack developer. So it is really, really helpful for me to write code because I just need to have an idea, a logic, what I want to achieve, and then I can just pass those instructions to Cursor, and Cursor will write the code for me. But from the like on the background of cloud architecture, platform architecture, DevOps, and all the stuff, so that really helps me to provide the input from security aspects and what should be the best practice. So those things can be provided when you are passing instructions to Cursor, and then let Cursor write the code for you. So that is super helpful, not just for people like me who are not full stack developers, but also if you are a full stack developer already, this will help you to be your kind of pair programmer, and you can probably learn a thing or two, like about the best practices and whatnot. So the first thing that we need is Cursor. You can download that on your laptops, PCs, and install that. The second thing that we need is fast MCP. So this is what we're going to tell Cursor how to build MCP server. So this is fast MCP 2.0, which is a pretty nice library that we can use to build MCP server. And then for this weather tool, since I told you that the tool is going to look for the weather in whatever city we specify and provide us the real-time information, I'm going to use Open Weather API, and this is also free. So if you go to the pricing and scroll all the way down, you will see that there is an option of free access. So it's a free for everyone. There's no credit card required, nothing, but you can make like only 60 API calls per minute, or 1 million calls per month, which is really good enough for the learning perspective and doing these POCs. And the other thing, which is kind of optional, but you can get started with OpenAI as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage OpenAI API key to pass the output of Open Weather and let the model in OpenAI actually generate a better human readable response, like something like that. Not just typical numbers, but also it feels like you are basically having a conversation with the real person who's providing you weather information. So you can also get started with OpenAI for free. If you don't have an existing account, you can create a new account and you can just get started with this absolutely free of cost. So these are the things that we need. And once you create your accounts, in OpenAI and also openweathermap.org, so generate API keys, and then note those API keys. We're going to use that in our cursor. So let me pull up my cursor editor. So this is my editor right now. I have a .env file, and this env file contains API keys for OpenAI and OpenWeather. Now, here you see that on the right side, this is where you're gonna chat with the agent. And if you just click on this, you see there are three modes. One is agent, which we're gonna use most of our times. So you're gonna talk to agent, and agent is gonna generate the code for you. And then you have ask. Ask mode is basically if you want to know about the code. So whatever the code cursor is gonna generate for you, you want to learn from that, and you're going to start asking questions on that code, and cursor is going to explain that to you. And the third is manual. Manually decides what gets added to the context. So basically what cursor does is it tracks the context of your entire project, which makes it super powerful to understand the overall context and not just the one instruction that you're passing at a time, but it maintains the overall context of your project. So this is really helpful about cursor. And then you have several models here. You have Claude 4, Claude 3.5, Gemini o3, GPT 4.1. So if you sign up with your like a free tier, you probably don't see all the models, but you'll see models like Claude 4, 3.5, 3.7. So you see all those models. So that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to use Claude, let's say use Claude 3.5, so which is kind of very good when it comes to writing the code. Now, what I need to pass this to as my first set of instructions is that, let's say I want you to build an MCP server which will have a tool to provide latest real-time weather information. I have already signed up for OpenWeather API, and also I have API key for OpenAI. I want you to use FastMCP 2.0 to build MCP server. Now, in addition to these written instructions, what you can also do is you can go to FastMCP and just pull this quick start link and just copy that. And I'm just going to pass that as a reference. Refer this FastMCP quick start link. So what I'm telling cursor is that, okay, I want to build an MCP server, and this server should have a tool to provide real-time weather information. And then I have signed up for OpenWeather API key, and also signed up for OpenAI API key. And I want you to use FastMCP 2.0, and I have provided the reference. I also want you to use OpenAI, let's say GPT 3.5 Turbo, to generate more human readable response after you get data from OpenWeather. Both OpenWeather and OpenAI API keys are already stored in the .env file in this workspace. So this is going to be a back and forth. Like, you don't expect everything to work straight away within like your first prompt. However, you just need to provide the context, good enough context for it to get started, and it will do almost 80 to 90% of the work right away. And once we can have like more enhancements, and we then just gonna pass some more instructions, and it will modify the code. So let's get started with this and hit enter. Okay, so it is going to start looking into the instructions that we have provided, and it's going to start writing with the requirements.txt file, which has fastmcp dot environment to load the environment file, OpenAI, and the request library. And now it's going to build our main weather service.py file. So see how easy it is to write the code nowadays. And there's no harm in using these tools, because these tools are here to help you to deliver fast, and also making sure that we are not writing any garbage code. It follows all the best practices. So you can see that it has written the weather server.py, and it has also written a simple client for us to test it out. And there's a requirements.txt. Let me just open a new terminal. So it says that the server provides a single tool, and city is required, the country code is optional. Okay, so let's take a look at the weather server.py. So this is what it has generated. And you can see the chat completion. It is using OpenAI and pass a prompt that you are a friendly weather reporter, provide clear and engaging weather information. And for the content, it's basically getting all the information from OpenWeather API. This is super cool. And it has also created a client that we're going to use to connect with the server. So what I'm going to do right now is, so I'm going to create a virtual environment. So when you create the virtual environment, you can even tell Cursor that I'm going to run all these commands in my virtual environment, and it can even help you to generate those commands and even execute those commands in your virtual environment. So let's see how it does. I have created VNV in this workspace. I want you to install all the libraries and run all the commands in this virtual environments. So you can do that manually as well. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just trying to show you how Cursor can help you really do everything for you. So it says that, okay, I'll help you activate the virtual environment and install the required packages. So let's do this first step. So you see it is actually generated a command. And here is one thing, it asks you to run this command. And I strongly suggest you to have this option enabled. If you, let's say auto run, then you won't have an option to review the command, right? So it works well. The auto run mode works well if you're just doing some POCs. But if you're writing more complex code and it's a more complexity, then I suggest you to keep ask every time enabled, or this is the default behavior, and just click on run. So it has activated my virtual environment and then installed all the required libraries in the virtual environment. So see, and now it's just generating the next step for me, because now we want to run the weather server.py file. So here you see that we got an error, and what you can do is, let's say you skip this one, and you can just copy this, and you can click on add to chat and say, okay, got this error while running weather server. So you can just copy those lines of error and provide this to Cursor, and now let Cursor looks into that and fixes it for you. So it says that, okay, I see the error. This is happening because there's an incompatibility with the OpenAI client initialization. So what it has done, it has changed the way it is initializing the OpenAI client. So you can see here, it is showing you the changes. Like instead of OpenAI client, instead of like this file, it is now initializing in a different way. So it's providing API key and then the base URL. So let's try to run this one more time. So we can do it ourselves. Let's say Python, let's say weather server.py. So it's still the same. Say still the same error. So now it is going to change the package version to make it work with OpenAI. Now, here's the thing, you just don't follow this blindly. What it's trying to do is it's trying to downgrade the version and use that. But what you can ask is, let's say, why do I need to downgrade the version? Can you look for a better approach that will use the latest OpenAI version, right? Because I don't want to use the old versions because it is telling me to. So this is where you have to step in and you have to provide all the required information that you think should be it should be following. Like, you know, instead of downgrading it, you should be saying, okay, I want to use the latest version, so, you know, retrofit your code according to that. So now it's saying that, okay, it sees the issue now and it's related to the latest version, and now it is going to change that. Let's run. Okay, still the same. Now there is other thing that you can do. If you think that this model is not generating code according to your expectation, you can basically switch the model and see if some other model does better than the previous model. So I'm going to, let's say, now what it's telling me that, okay, uninstall this and install this. So I'm going to tell it, okay, make the changes requirements.txt and I'll update that. So it has updated requirements.txt, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say pip install. Okay, and now run weather server. Okay, so let me switch the model. Say that, okay, I'm still getting this error. Work on finding a better solution. So now I am using Claude 4, and let's see if it makes any difference. Okay, so now the error has changed, but it tells me that, okay, the tool decorator was used incorrectly. So let's say pass this, say getting the following error now. Make sure you are following fast MCP 2.0 docs properly. So this was a minor error where the parentheses need to be added, and it has done that. Let's run the weather server again. So I'm not getting any error, I'm not getting any information. So let me tell you that, okay, I don't see any error, but there is no info generator at all. Can you add some uh, messages or logs that will explain that the server is running? I also want you to use stdio for communication, because I want to use Claude Desktop as MCP client. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna make any change. So it says that, okay, your right server is running, but there is no indication of it. So let me add some logging and ensure it's properly configured. So I'm just gonna cancel this. So now it has added a logger. Now you see that you have to go back and forth. It's not like you will get everything in one shot, but it really helps you to, you just have to go back and forth and just keep iterating until you get your best solution, because end of the day, it's you who's responsible for, let's say, delivering this project. And you have to make sure that you need to know the information and what exactly you want to do. Now, here is one thing that I always follow, and I always tell others as well, that you need to be the domain expert. This tool, Cursor, is just helping you to write the code, because you don't have to write every single line of code yourself, but you still need to be the domain expert of what you're doing. And that is where it helps you to save the time, writing the code for you, but it doesn't mean that you just follow it blindly, and that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm gonna run this again. So now it says that, okay, weather server has been initialized successfully, starting weather server on exterior transport. I also want to use Python weather client. Make sure you have necessary changes made in the client Python file. If you have noticed, it has also generated a Claude Desktop config for you. So if you want to use this with your Claude Desktop, you can just simply use this. And now I told it, okay, I want to use with the weather client.py file as well. So it is going to make necessary changes. Now, looking at the Claude config, what it has given me that, okay, you need to pass these keys and whatnot. That's not how I want. So I'm going to tell it that, okay, for the Claude Desktop config, I want you to leverage the virtual environment, and I don't want to set Open Weather or OpenAI API keys as environment variables. I want you to load these keys in the code itself, because I think it is not doing the, okay, it's loading here, but I don't know why it has set these environment variables. So, okay, it's going to change it right now. So now you can see that it is going to use the virtual environment, and then this is the command that will run inside my virtual environment. So this is what I need. You should be loading the .env file with load instead of searching for the path. Yeah, so you have to just, sometimes if it deviates, you just have to make sure that uh, like I said earlier, you have to make sure that it's following your instruction, and you should know what you want it to get done from this tool. Okay, so it says okay, it has simplified the code and everything. So let's try to run. Okay, now I'm gonna open another terminal. I'm gonna activate my environment and let's run client. Okay, choose mode, demo mode, multiple city, or single city mode. Let's say single city mode. So, okay, so it says that there's some error. What I'm gonna tell it that I don't want information in this mode. I don't want information in to be passed in this way. I want you to accept the user prompt using NLP or natural language, and then interpret the code. Now, one thing that you can do, you can pass some more references here. So if I go to let's say my MCP documentation, and you can see that there is an example how you can set up your client. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to use this reference on how to build client. Okay, now it says that, okay, I understand you want the client to accept natural language prompts and pass them internally. So let's see what changes it's gonna make. Okay, so let's terminate this and terminate this as well. Just want to make sure it has not made any change in the requirements file, which looks okay to me. Weather server, and now I'm going to run the client. Yeah, still. So this is not what I expected. So let me just pull this one more time. Say it should not prompt using the format shown in the logs attached. Also, it is throwing an error. It should support something like this. Tell me the current weather in Toronto, and it should take this input and provide me the weather info. So now you see that it is there's an error with the task group. This appears to be a fast MCP client issue. So let me fix this. So okay, so it's making some progress, and I'm just going to tell this, okay, I don't need this mode. just straight away go to the, how you can say, it should always be interactive mode by default. Okay, so now it is removing the code which asks you or prompts you to select the mode. Okay, let's remove this. Okay, so let's start the server once again and start our client. Okay, what is the current weather conditions in Toronto? Okay, there is still this task group error. Now what I want to do is I'm gonna pass this client overview. I want you to follow this reference on creating a client. Okay, so now it's gonna make some more changes. You let me test it out. Click on run. It is taking a little bit more time than previously I worked on a similar project. So I basically added a lot of tools, not just one tool, but a lot of tools within like 1 hour. I think if you use this model, Claude for Sonnet from the very beginning, this is kind of more responsive and better in terms of writing the code and understanding the information than Claude 3.5. So that's my guess, because I previously used Claude for Sonnet and it worked really well. So let's say click on run once again. Okay, so now you see that, okay, hello Toronto, this is your weather reporter bringing you the latest update. Currently we have temperature of 18.4 degrees centigrade. So this seems like working fine now. If you click on, okay, now instead of Toronto, let's say, what is the current weather conditions in New York? Okay, so the New York weather is a temperature of 20.14 degrees Celsius, feels like 19.91, and this is the humidity and whatnot. Okay, so this is pretty good, and it also tells you, okay, grab a light jacket and enjoy your day in the Big Apple. Stay safe and have a great day ahead. So this information, the way it's generating the information, this is coming from the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. This is the information. It comes from the Open Weather API, and then the weather report is generated by the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. So this looks pretty good. Now what I want to do is I want to show you one more way of using MCP servers, and which is kind of a better way because you have embedded LLM support, and you can do that using clients like Claude Desktop. So let me pull Claude Desktop. So this is my Claude Desktop, and I already have my other MCP server, which is called Pulse. It is configured, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to Claude and go to settings. Within settings, you have this tab called developer, and you have your MCP server, and you can click on edit config, and you can basically just move your config here. So this is the config for my previous model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another server in addition to this, and this okay, so let me just change this, because this MCP server also has a tool which provides the weather information. So I'm just not going to use that. Let's call it weather agent, and I'm gonna just change the folder path. So basically I just need to change this. And here my server is weather server.py. So let me open the Claude Desktop once again. Okay, so I have a new tool called weather agent, which is now configured in my Claude Desktop. So if I go to settings once again, pull that back here, and you can see that the weather agent is currently running, which is good. So now what this this approach helps is that you already have LLM support right here. So it can do a lot of stuff for you. I mean, generate the response using this LLM, which is part of your Claude Desktop. So if I ask the same question, tell me the current weather conditions in New York. Now what I want to do is okay, the web search is already disabled, so I just want to make sure that it does not use its own tool. So by the way, web search is the tool which is kind of part of the Claude Desktop. So I don't want to use that. I want to use my tool, which is the weather agent. And let's see. Okay, so it says, okay, you want to approve this, allow it once. Now it's using our tool, basically. It's making a call, and see. Now it is generating this thing. This thing is being generated by this model, the Claude Sonnet 4, because that's part of your Claude Desktop, right? So it makes a little bit more kind of human-friendly response. You don't have to rely on OpenAI, but it's good to have that logic set up in your code as well, because you never know, like you're not making client just for Claude. Sorry, you're not making MCP server just to be used with Claude, but it can be used with other clients as well. And if it's a typical Python client, then you need to have support for OpenAI to generate more human-friendly responses. So it says that, okay, the current weather in New York is quite pleasant, 20 degrees Celsius with overcast clouds. And you can see here the one below, which our Python client basically told us, which is again 20.14 degrees Celsius, which is similar. And humidity is 65%. It says 64%, more or less same. Feels like 20 degrees outside. So you can see the information is pretty similar, but using with the Claude Desktop or similar clients helps you to leverage the models which are built in those clients. But you can also build your own Python-based client model and use OpenAI API keys to just make this information a little bit more user-friendly. So I hope you liked it. This is all I wanted to show you guys in this video. It is, although it seems like, okay, it took too much time, but honestly, it's not that much time, and it has basically just done everything for you, like within 20 minutes or so. So once you get going, You will also improve the way you're passing instructions, because end of the day, how you build the prompt that matters, and what type of references that you pass to the cursor or any model, that also matters. So you will also get to know how these tools work. So once you start exploring it, you probably change your strategy as well on how you providing the input to these tools. But the takeaway from this video is, you don't have to do all this heavy lifting. You don't have to write the single line of code. So this is what is being taken care by the cursor or whatever tool that you're using. Now, having said that, and we have seen this in the example, actually this is a pretty good session, because we have seen that this did not work right away from the very beginning. So you also got to know what you want to build, and you also got to know the technical stuff, like whether you want to use stdi transport or http, whether you want to use latest OpenAI version, or you want it to just use the old version. So these kind of things you have to instruct it, and it will follow your instructions. But end of the day, within 20 to 25 minutes, you have your first MCP server set up. You also have your client using Python, and also we have a configuration on how we can use Claude Desktop as our client, and how you can configure the Claude Desktop config. So this is super cool. It gets you started with MCP server, and now you can keep on enhancing this, right? So you can keep on adding more tools and just keep on enhancing it. So this is very good, and this is where people like me who are not full stack developers, and look, I have written the code even though I'm not a developer. So for me, this is very helpful. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'm happy to address any concerns of yours, or any questions, or any feedback that you have for us. But yeah, that's all about this video, and hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers.